About 10 years or so ago, my metabolism changed for some reason, and I used to work in the morning, but I started working in the afternoon. So my working day starts after lunch, about 2:30 or thereabouts, and continues on through the afternoon to early evening, 6:30, 7 o'clock. Then I stop because I'm knackered. And sometimes you might have seen in this fridge a manuscript, because I write in longhand, and the safest place in the house to keep your manuscript is the fridge, apparently. Your house can burn down, but the contents of your fridge will still be intact. So it's a very good place to store precious things. That's my writing day. Starts at 2, finishes about 6:30, 7, and I do it 7 days a week, and I get things done. And I've worked in this room here for about 18 years now. It's the biggest room I've ever worked in, which is why I probably feel comfortable in it. I live in Chelsea, so I'm surrounded by memories of other dead writers. Within 100 yards of this house, you've got John Betjeman's house, Mark Twain's house, George Eliot's house, so the vibes are quite good in Chelsea, I think, for a writer. So I like this room. It's full of books, a lot of poetry that I read. It's also full of the mini libraries that I acquire while I'm writing a novel, the research that goes into the novel. So when I look around the shelves here, I can see them almost like geographical strata of earlier books of mine. So you'll have a shelf for Brazzaville Beach, a shelf for the new Confessions. It's as if this room is a little time capsule of my writing life. And behind me here is the next library for my next novel, which I've just started, and I have everything I need to hand. I like to physically write my first draft. I think there's something about that link between head, hand and page that's very important. It somehow affects the rhythms and cadences of your prose, which you don't get if you write onto a screen. And I use this type of pen. It's a German Rotring graphic designer's pen with a very fine nib, black ink, and it suits my tiny little cramped handwriting very well. I can write for about, I suppose, 3 hours a day, flat out, and in that day I know almost to within 10 words how much I've written. Round about between 800, 1,500 words a day is a good day's work for me. Also in this room there's a great mass of memorabilia from my various films and from my own life. Here on this mantelpiece you find the typical accretion, I think, that builds up in any writer's room. Poster from the film that I wrote, my novel Good Man in Africa, another bit of film memorabilia here. Charlie Chaplin, Little Tramp. I wrote the script of Richard Attenborough's film Chaplin, and so I've had that since then. These are my father's golfing and boxing trophies that have arrived in my care. A few postcards, a rare photograph of Anton Chekhov, a current favourite writer, and I suppose I've lived in this room for 18 years and worked in this room, and it really is somewhere I'm very at home, and everything that's in here has some sort of message and meaning for me. If I had to grab one thing before I ran out of it for the last time, it would be in that cupboard there, because there I keep my journals, which I've been keeping for over 25 years now. And so if I had to grab something, it would be those notebooks that I'd take with me as the final bit of evidence of my writing life.